The first tremor arrived in the dead of night, a gentle but persistent shudder that rattled windows and nerves across San Francisco. For a moment the city seemed to hold its breath, the silence broken only by the creak of old buildings and the distant sound of dogs barking. Most residents, after checking on loved ones and scrolling through social media for updates, shrugged it off as another minor quake. Earthquakes are part of life here after all, and the city is no stranger to the Earth's restless energy. But the unease lingered, a quiet anxiety beneath the city's usual rhythm. Even as people tried to return to normal, a subtle tension hung in the air, as if everyone was waiting for the next tremor. Less than 72 hours later, a second sharper jolt hit, this time on a busy Friday morning, catching commuters and office workers off guard. Coffee cups clattered, car alarms blared, and the city's collective mood shifted from casual acceptance to genuine concern. Suddenly the possibility of something bigger felt all too real. 2 quakes in 3 days felt like a warning, sparking conversations everywhere about safety and the ever-present risk of the big one. Neighbors compared emergency kits and families reviewed their plans, realizing how quickly life can change. The experience left a mark on the city's psyche, connecting strangers in a shared moment of vulnerability. In those uncertain hours, community ties grew stronger and people found comfort in each other. Yet these tremors were not isolated events. They were distant echoes of a far more powerful earthquake across the Pacific. The Earth's movements in one place can ripple out, touching lives thousands of miles away. San Francisco's double jolt was linked to a colossal quake off Russia's coast, sending shockwaves and tsunami alerts across the Pacific basin. The city's anxiety was mirrored in communities all along the Pacific Rim. To understand what happened in the Bay Area, we must look beyond California and recognize how our planet's immense geological systems are deeply interconnected. The story of one city's unsettling week is in truth part of a much larger global narrative. The first quake, a magnitude 4.1, struck late Tuesday on the Hayward Fault, a notorious fault line running beneath the East Bay. The tremor was felt across a wide swath of Northern California, catching many residents off guard as they went about their evening routines. Shaking rippled through the Bay Area from San Jose to Santa Rosa, rattling windows and nerves alike. Some people reported hearing a low rumble just before the shaking began, while others described a sudden jolt that made their hearts race. Social media lit up as people confirmed the familiar rolling motion, sharing their experiences and checking in with loved ones. Despite the initial shock, most quickly returned to their routines, grateful that the quake had caused little damage. Then, just 3 days later on Friday morning, a magnitude 4.4 quake hit the San Andreas Fault, delivering a sharper, more jarring shock that startled many out of bed and sent emergency alerts buzzing across the region. The back-to-back quakes, each on a major fault, heightened anxiety and prompted many to check emergency kits and review disaster plans. For some, it was a reminder to talk with family about what to do when the next big one hits. News channels interviewed seismologists who explained the science behind the quakes. The message was clear: these were separate, normal stress release events in a tectonically active region, not signs of something bigger about to happen. The Hayward and San Andreas faults are constantly accumulating strain as the Pacific and North American plates grind past each other, creating a landscape shaped by invisible forces deep underground. These smaller quakes are reminders of the immense pressure building up, pressure that will eventually be released in a much larger event. Even minor tremors can leave cracks in pavement and unsettle communities. The twin quakes served as an impromptu drill, testing readiness and highlighting the psychological toll of living with seismic risk. For many it was a chance to practice emergency plans and confront the reality of life on shifting ground. For Californians, it was a wake-up call. The ground beneath us is never truly still, and preparedness is not just a choice, but a necessity in this ever-moving landscape. The tremors in California were faint echoes of a geological roar from across the Pacific. On July 29, a massive magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, one of the most powerful quakes in modern history. The seabed was violently thrust upward, unleashing energy equivalent to thousands of atomic bombs and triggering a devastating tsunami. Tsunami waves up to 16 feet battered the Russian coast, forcing evacuations and causing destruction in remote communities. The energy raced across the Pacific, detected by deep ocean sensors and setting off a chain reaction of alerts worldwide. Japan issued evacuation advisories for nearly 1 million people, and warnings stretched from the Philippines to the Americas. What began as a remote disaster quickly became a Pacific-wide emergency. with California bracing for the waves. As tsunami waves radiated from Russia, alerts spread even faster. Hawaii's sirens wailed, beaches were cleared, and flights paused as waves up to 4 feet arrived on Oahu's north shore. The entire U.S. West Coast was put on notice. Northern California under a full warning, the rest under advisory. The message: stay away from beaches, harbors, and piers. Internationally, the Pacific Tsunami Warning System was put to the test, with Japan evacuating nearly 1 million people and similar scenes unfolding from Canada to Chile. The event became a real-world drill, testing emergency systems and international cooperation. President Trump and Governor Newsom urged the public to heed warnings and stay safe. While the worst was not expected everywhere, the power and unpredictability of a tsunami demanded respect. The world watched and waited, unified in caution. In California, Crescent City faced the greatest threat, its low-lying position and long history with tsunamis making it especially vulnerable to disaster. The town's past experiences prompted a full-scale evacuation, with residents and visitors urged to leave quickly and calmly. Fishing boats were moved to deep water, away from the harbor, to avoid being damaged or destroyed by incoming waves. Meanwhile, the town's tsunami-resistant infrastructure, seawalls, barriers, and reinforced docks, was put to the test as the community braced for impact. Further south, the Bay Area was under advisory. While no major flooding was expected, the threat was taken seriously by local authorities. Officials closed beaches and waterfronts as a precaution, putting public safety first and preventing unnecessary risks. The usually bustling shoreline was eerily quiet, transformed overnight into a zone of caution and uncertainty. Surfers and sightseers stayed away, heeding warnings and respecting the closures that kept them safe. The first waves arrived just after midnight, rolling in quietly but carrying the potential for danger. Though small, they were accompanied by powerful and unpredictable currents, making the ocean treacherous even for experienced swimmers. The recent earthquakes meant residents took the warning seriously, packing up and leaving their homes in the middle of the night if needed. Emergency systems were tested as sirens blared, first responders coordinated, and communities braced for the unknown. California's tsunami information website crashed under heavy traffic, leaving many searching for updates and guidance. This exposed a vulnerability in public communication, highlighting the need for more robust systems in times of crisis. In contrast, Crescent City's physical preparations worked: minimal damage, smooth evacuations, and a community that knew exactly what to do. The highest waves, 4 feet, were recorded there, a testament to both the power of nature and the effectiveness of planning. The event was a crucial reminder: preparedness saves lives and property. Even distant earthquakes thousands of miles away can threaten California's coast with little warning. The state's readiness was on display, with agencies and volunteers working together to keep people safe. But so were its weak points, as communication breakdowns and system overloads revealed areas for urgent improvement. The lesson was clear: preparation matters. The threat was real, and every second counts when disaster strikes. The precautions were necessary. California passed this test, but the experience left officials and residents determined to be even better prepared next time. The next challenge could be even greater, and the lessons learned now may make all the difference in the future. Despite the tsunami's power, the U.S. West Coast was largely spared. Geography and luck played key roles. The tsunami's main energy shot through the open Pacific, missing major population centers. California, Oregon, and Washington received only a glancing blow, with diminished waves and minimal impact. The timing, waves arriving in the middle of the night, helped keep people safe. Modern detection technology like dart buoys provided real-time data, allowing officials to refine warnings and avoid unnecessary evacuations. The event was a low-stakes drill, exposing weaknesses like overloaded websites but validating local preparedness. This time, California was lucky and ready, but the next event may not be so forgiving. This week's events are a warning. California's greatest tsunami threat comes not from distant quakes, but from faults closer to home. Scientists are especially concerned about the Cascadia subduction zone, capable of producing a magnitude 9 earthquake and a devastating tsunami. A Cascadia event could send a tsunami to Northern California in as little as 10 minutes, leaving almost no time for official warnings. The rule is simple: if you feel strong shaking near the coast, evacuate to higher ground immediately. Preparedness is essential. Every household needs a plan, an emergency kit, and a practiced evacuation route. Stay informed with multiple alert systems and pack a go bag with essentials for each family member. The recent quakes and tsunami advisory were a test, a reminder that the Earth is always in motion. We can't stop these events, but we can prepare for them. Don't be scared, be ready. The steps you take today could save your life tomorrow.